Hey everyone, it's Jack here, TalkNorwichCity, and welcome back for another video. I hope you guys are all doing okay, despite Norwich City sitting bottom of the championship table. And what better way to start your, what we're on, Monday, than to realise that Norwich City now have no fit left backs at the entire football club. Jakob Sorensen, Dimi Anulis, and Sam McCallum all out injured within the first 3 league games. That's good fun, isn't it? It's Huddersfield up on Tuesday night. It's a really busy week for Norwich, actually. Huddersfield at Carrow Road on Tuesday, at Millwall at Carrow Road on Friday. It has the potential to be a brilliant week and things to turn. It has the potential for things to get incredibly toxic. Let's hope it's the former. A big thank you to BetMate, who are sponsoring all of the preview content this season, and brilliant to see so many of you enjoying BetMate. There are going to be pots throughout the week on there that you can get involved with. What I would recommend, download the app, take a look, because this weekend BetMate are releasing their first ever championship pots due to lots and lots of requests from TNC fans and other fans as well of the app. So that's going to be really exciting. It's a fantasy football type app, and you play within one kind of game in terms of game by game. So you haven't got to worry about injured players, all of that nonsense. You can crack on. There's money to be won. You've got to be 18 or over to play. The link to download BetMate is in the description below. Huddersfield. Norwich are in a really precarious position at the moment, and I completely understand the frustration and the negativity, particularly towards Dean Smith, who has started this season really poorly. Norwich have 1 point after 3 games. They're bottom of the championship table. It's really poor, and we've on paper had a relatively easy start. Cardiff away, Wigan at home, Hull City away. 3 teams you would probably expecting to at least get something from each. Norwich have only got 1 point, and that was against Wigan, having gone behind in that game as well. Huddersfield, again, is a team that we should be beating. They haven't started the season particularly well either, although they have won a football match, and that did come on the Saturday just gone against Stoke. They started their season against Burnley. They lost that 1-0. They then played Birmingham, lost that 2-1. A familiar face, Puemazwa Poheta was on the score sheet for Birmingham that night, and then they played Stoke at the weekend, won that game 3-1, 2 relatively late goals, despite losing the shot count 18-10 and expected goals. They were 1.69 against 2.68. Now, I'm also going to have a quick chat around expected goals, because I tweeted out on the TalkNorwichCity account. If you're not following us, by the way, on Twitter, then why not? That's at TalkNorwichCity. That if we were going solely on expected goals, Norwich City would actually be top of the championship table, which takes some fathoming, but basically the quality of chances created would indicate that Norwich City, if obviously taken, would be top of the division. And that, of course, as expected, raised some question marks over the kind of how much do you look into expected goals. And I'm not like a huge statistician. Like, I'd like to see my football played on the pitch rather than in kind of spreadsheets. But to caveat that, I do believe that the performances have warranted better results than we've seen. And that's really, you know, it's easy to say because, you know, we haven't won football matches, and at the end of the day, people don't really care if you're not winning football matches. And I do completely get that. But I would argue that if we were to put in these kind of performances on a consistent enough basis, points would start to come. I thought we were, I'm not going to say we were unlucky against Hull, because we were kind of, once again, the victims of our own downfall, really. The first goal was unforgivable in particular. But I do feel as if the performance levels have actually been okay. Now, I was speaking to a friend about this on Sunday, and he was like, well, Jack, we've had a really easy start. And you look at, say, a Watford, who have had a considerably tougher start and picked up, I think, 7 points from their opening 3 games. If we start to put in these performances against the likes of Middlesbrough and Sheffield United and Watford and Burnley, then we're going to lose more football matches. And I do understand that. But I do believe if we play like we did against Hull, against Huddersfield, and maybe against Millwall, we will probably come out victorious. With all of that being said, we are now without a left-back. Jakob Sorensen is going to be out for a number of weeks. Dimi Anulis is also out for a long while. Sam McCallum is also out for a long while. So Dean Smith, I do kind of feel sorry for him in terms of the left back, has gone from not wanting to dip into the transfer market for a left back because he believed that Jakob Sorensen was suitable in that position. I'd probably agree. And now we literally don't have a recognised left back, so it could well be Kenny McLean who is left back, unless we go with like 3 centre backs and then kind of tuck in midfields in the wide areas, which is a possibility, but that feels incredibly unbalanced. So we are now going to be delving into the transfer market for a left back. It's always a worry when you're vulnerable because other teams will exploit that, and I can't imagine there's too many brilliant left backs knocking about on the 15th of August within our price point. So that is a real concern. There's also question marks over Timu Puki's fitness. He's, I think, taking a precautionary X-ray. I don't think it's anything too serious, but it could well be a chance for Jordan Hugill to step up, having really impressed in pre-season. So this is the team I'm going for. Angus Gunn in goal, I remain fairly strong on that point. I'd like to see Angus in goal, although Tim Krul's not necessarily done anything wrong, and if he starts, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. Max Aarons, Grant Hanley and Big Andy remain, I think, in those 3 positions. I think on the whole, they've actually been quite good. The mix-up between Aarons and Big Andy was poor at the weekend and eventually led to a goal. And the real frustration is we've conceded 4 goals this season, and 3 of them really have been from our own errors, which is not a good place to be in. And then the left-back position, I've stuck in Kenny McLean because that's who came on for the injured Jakob Sorensen at the weekend. I wouldn't be overly surprised if we see a change in formation and you go Gibson, Hanley and Big Andy and sort of play with 3/5 at the back. Maybe then find a midfielder who can go in those areas. It just starts to look really messy then, I think. I'm going with the midfield 3 of Nunez, Gabriel Sauer and Liam Gibbs. I think Liam Gibbs deserves his starting place. I think he deserves to have that at Carrow Road. I've been incredibly impressed with what I've seen of Marcelino Nunez so far, although he has given away the ball a lot. I think the chances he's created and the goal he scored, the free kick, and that Panenka, have warranted a starting position. I think it's probably time for Gabriel Sauer, and you suddenly don't have too many midfield options now that Kenny McLean is probably going to have to shift into left back. There's no Jakob Sorensen. That's the 3 I would go with. And then a slight change up front. I'm going to bring in Dan El-Sanani, who has championship experience, was good at Huddersfield last season, scored in the cup game against Birmingham. I think he deserves a start. Todd Cantwell, who I've been impressed with on the whole. And then Jordan Hugill, actually, because I'm not overly convinced that Dean Smith is confident that Timu Puki will start with his injury, considering what he said in the press conference on Monday. So that's the team I'm going with. Lots of changes and far from ideal. Norwich need to win. It's as simple as that. And at this stage, however they win will be satisfactory. I think that the performances have been okay so far this season, but unfortunately we now don't have the time, nor is there the patience amongst the fan base to accept performances and not results. We need results, and we need them quickly, because already it's looking like we're already on a fairly slippery slope. But I do believe, I genuinely do believe that this can be turned around. I think it's still early enough on. And I'm just constantly thinking, maybe I'm being naive and maybe I'm being overly optimistic, but if we were to win both games this week, that puts us on 7 points from 5 games. Suddenly you're not in a terrible position. Of course, it's not the ideal start, but I think in front of a packed out Carrow Road, 2 home wins would be huge, just to give us some hope, because Norwich fans have seen a string of really poor performances and poor results over the last 15 months. And even when we were playing well, we weren't there. And I think there is something in that. So Norwich need to win. They will need to win against Huddersfield, and they will need to win against Millwall, and they will need to do it with what is an ever-growing injury list. Having said that, Norwich do have a deep championship squad, and I don't think that can be used as an excuse. Because there's plenty of teams in this division with a far less depth throughout their squad. Download BetMate, it's well worth doing. That's in the description below. Let me know how you think it's going to go. I would love to hear from you.